Hey, and welcome to the Meditations and Musings podcast. I'm Elena Lipson. I'm a mama, I'm a wife, and I'm the founder of the Divine Self-Care Circle membership and the Virtual Retreat Academy. I don't believe that you have to sacrifice your body, your health, or your family in order to create true abundance and prosperity. I believe in living based on the divine feminine metrics of success, and these include pleasure, play, ease, grace, and a slower pace. Each week, I'll bring you 1 to 2 new episodes. One of these will be a guided meditation that you don't have to do on the meditation pillow, and the other will be a conversation to help you access your inner wisdom, to ignite abundance, and inspire others to do the same. I invite you to join me on this journey back to the magic of a divinely aligned and well cared for you. And now, join me for today's episode. Hello and welcome to the Meditations and Musings podcast. This is Elena Lipson, your divine self-care mentor, and this is episode number 6. Oh my gosh, I'm getting so excited. Every single time I record and press end, I am giddy with excitement because I have been wanting to do this podcast episode, this particular one, but the podcast in general for a long time. I seriously think my mastermind buddies, my business partners, my friends, my husband has been sick and tired of hearing me talk about this for I don't even know how long, but I'm doing it. And that is so freaking exciting to me. You have no idea. Well, you have an idea now. So the title of this particular episode is The Beauty and Permission of Iterations. And I love the word iterations. The first time I heard it, I thought, yes, I absolutely love it. It captures the essence of what I teach in my work, what I speak about, and what I really try to embody, which is this permission, right? The permission, this is called the beauty and permission of iterations. So first of all, let's start with defining iterations. So the super simple definition of iterations is, imagine if you are creating your book, or you're creating a painting, or you're going to learn how to create a spreadsheet, right? The first version of whatever you're doing would be considered like version 1.0, 1.0. And when you're working on the version of 1.0 of your iteration, whether it's your website or your podcast or your book or whatever you're working on, it's going to have some glitches. Why? It's going to have some glitches because it's the first time you're doing it. Now, can you get it perfect 100% right the first time? Absolutely. But if you're learning to do something, if you're getting better at something, if you consider what you're doing a skill or a craft, or a mastery, or you're an artist, or you're creating literally just about anything. Even if you're learning how to make your own pizza the first time, you're going to give yourself permission to get it wrong, or make it ugly, or to just figure it out as you go along. So that first iteration is going to have accepted levels of mistakes and getting it wrong. And maybe you even throw that first version of your homemade pizza crust out. Can you get it absolutely right the first time? Sure. But most great chefs know that you have to practice recipes. You have to play around with it. You're not going to get the measurements right the first time. Maybe you're going to change things up. Maybe your first website, like, oh my gosh, I think I'm on my 5th website right now. My first one, yeah, it was okay. But the one I have right now looks much better. And I guarantee you my next one is going to be even better because I've iterated. So iterations is the allowing of things to evolve. It's versions of it. It's different versions of the thing that you're working on, that you're creating, that you're doing. And there's a beauty in that and a permission. The beauty element of iterations is that you get to create, and you have chaos, and you have mess, and you have unknowns, and you have the great mystery. And within that, there's magic. There is, I wonder what's going to happen. There's like a curiosity. And if you can bring a little bit of a childlike essence to that creation, then you're going to give yourself permission to get it wrong, to get it messy, and to understand that that is part of the journey. What I see women specifically because I do work with predominantly women entrepreneurs, but not 100%. And over the years, I have worked with men as well. And I'm a mom of a boy and I'm married to a man. So I see that sometimes women and men might think about this differently. Specifically, if you're a woman entrepreneur, I would venture to guess that you can be a little bit hard on yourself. You want to make sure that you get everything right and perfect and beautiful, and probably the first time, which can really put a lot of pressure and stress on you. If you felt like you had to get the website 100% right, it could lead to other self-sabotaging behaviors like procrastination or overwhelm, or waiting too long until you get the perfect website, the perfect copy, the perfect pictures. And in the meantime, you're not really doing what it takes to get the clients. So I see that so often. Whereas I think right now, especially in the time that we're in this world, with all the tools that we have available to us, with ways to connect, I would say sometimes getting the perfect website could be a hindrance. And there's a lot of things like that. Getting things perfect the first time can be a hindrance to actually taking action, or at least the perception of having to get something right the first time. Whereas if you changed your framework, if you changed your paradigm of how you see your own creation, understanding that this is not a sprint, that creating a business and really creating anything of value takes time. And maybe if you're just getting started, it's really the impatience that's making you feel like I need to get this done now. I'm running out of time. Everyone else is getting it. Everyone else is getting my clients. Oh my gosh, I have to do it now. And to be honest, that is a scarcity mindset. It gives you the idea that there's only so many clients to go around. There's only so much money to be made. There's only so much stuff that you can have access to. And the truth is, we are a never-ending well of abundance in all these areas, because not every client is for you, but the ones that are for you are going to wait for you. And they're waiting for you right now for you to get out there, for you to use your voice, for you to allow yourself to be seen, even in iteration 1.0. So even though you might have this idea of your iteration like 5.0 that you're trying to attain right now, you're losing out on the potential learning, the potential experiences, the potential experimentation that can happen. Now, the interesting thing about the beauty and the permission of iterations is that you're going to evolve. The thing that you're starting to do right now is not going to be most likely the thing that you're doing 2 years from now, 4 years from now, 6 years from now. In fact, I started coaching as a coach in person, one-on-one, about 16, 17 years ago. And when I did that, I was helping people do business plans. I was definitely doing life coaching skills as well. But it had a little bit to do with, of course, because coaching in general is about personal development. But the way I coach now and who I coach and what I coach about has changed significantly over the years as I have changed and grown. And even if I look back 3 years, the work that I do right now as a divine self-care mentor, teaching and training and speaking about the new metrics of success, about self-care, about developing daily routines and rituals, and about awakening spirituality, these are things that I had no idea I was going to be talking about 3-4 years ago, because when I first started as this full-time online business coach or life coach or whatever you want to call it right now, as I work with self-care, I lead retreats, I do speaking, I do writing, and now I'm doing this podcast. I didn't know exactly how it was all going to look. And because some of the tools that I have access to now didn't even exist when I first started, having a podcast was like a massive dream to me, but I didn't know how I can make that happen. Having a worldwide membership site circle where I have women from all over the world in my group in a year-long plus program was not even something that I knew I wanted to do. I was all about building courses and having group coaching programs, but at a shorter basis. But as I did those things, as I started coaching one-on-one, as I started hosting retreats and workshops, as I started putting together longer group programs, I started to see the possibility of other things that I wanted to do longer term. I had no idea I was going to be going to Costa Rica or Tulum to co-facilitate gorgeous retreats. Yes, maybe I had a dream of that at some point, but I didn't know. And those things didn't open up or show themselves until I kept doing the work that I was already doing. And I kept asking myself good questions. I kept hiring great mentors who helped me to reach my next levels. And I collaborated with other people who brought new elements, new pieces to my work that I didn't know were going to be there. If I had stayed stuck in my iteration 1.0, I would never have moved on from that initial 8-week course that I created to this now year-long plus ongoing membership. I wouldn't have understood that I was going to go from doing local self-care workshops to running national and international retreats with other amazing women. I had no idea I'd be speaking on big stages about self-care and finding your voice. These are things that evolved, iterations in my work as I kept on going. So if you're feeling stuck where you are because you're trying to get that perfect branding, that perfect picture, that perfect thing, I want to invite you to really give yourself permission to iterate. Now, I was actually just meeting with my photographer this morning talking about our next photo shoot. We've done probably 5 or 6 photo shoots over the last several years. And the reason we do that is because I evolve. The pictures that I want to put out there into the world evolve. The messaging keeps refining and getting evolved. And those are all iterations. If I was still using the first photo shoot that we did back in 2013, first of all, my hair was a lot shorter and I would have just had a different energy and a different place in my life at that point. Now, the pictures that we're going to do in the next couple of months with this planning are totally different. I'm using different words to describe myself. I'm using different words to engage with my audience. I'm using different words to describe my work. So the iteration now looks very different than it did 3 years ago. And I guarantee you the photo sessions that I do a year from now are going to be very different as my work continues to iterate and evolve. So I want you to ask yourself right now, what would I like to be known for right now? What am I trying to create right now? And can I give myself permission to be in iteration? If you can answer those questions, then you will be well on your way to defining what exactly you want to put out there in the world right now, but also giving yourself permission to understand that maybe you've already been doing something for a while and maybe you're ready for a shift. Maybe it's time to iterate for you. So if you need some help doing that, there's amazing experts out there who do branding, who do design work, but most importantly, get in touch with what you want. What is most important to you? Now, I want to take iterations and also put them into the lens of relationships and life in general. The woman, the mom, and the wife that I am today is very different from the woman, the mom, and the wife that I was when I first had my son almost 12 years ago now. And going back even further, I've been with my husband for almost 18 years now. The woman that I was when I first met him 18 years ago is very different. And the reason that I am different is because obviously I've grown up, I've matured, I've had experiences, I've processed things, but also our relationship has gone through iterations. And if you can look at your relationship as having version 1.0, version 2.0, version 3.0, what this does is it essentially gives you the permission, right? The permission to grow together. Now, sometimes people grow at different speeds, and one person may be evolving spiritually or financially or emotionally, and the other person might not be. But in the best case scenario, you're having conversations throughout. You're sharing, you're processing, and you're maybe even getting some kind of external support for having communications around maybe feeling like one of you is evolving a certain way. It's going to happen. I mean, now that I've been with my husband for 18 years, I can see that at the core of who we were when we first met is definitely still there. We definitely still love each other and admire each other and respect each other, but we've definitely gone through cycles of ups and downs and ups and downs. I mean, I've started businesses, I've been fired from a job, we had to move cross country, we, moved somewhere where we didn't have any friends, we had to make friends, we are raising a child. That in itself is going to cause different conversations to happen in our relationship because we have to discuss parenting a toddler, parenting, a 5-year-old, parenting a 10-year-old. Now we're parenting an almost preteen. So there's different versions of us that are being called to the table to communicate, to be able to expand into this new iteration of our lives. And in this next coming season, we're going to be homeschooling our sons. So that's going to be a whole different adventure. We're going to be traveling. Our schedule is going to be very different. So this next iteration is something that we're actually walking into very consciously. We're not just making it happen and then hoping that it all works out. No, we're going to be sitting at the table. We're going to be looking back. We're going to be looking forward. We're going to be getting present. We're definitely going to be understanding that we are in this first iteration of a new adventure. And so if we sort of look at it like an experiment, then we give ourselves permission to be in the iteration without feeling like we have to get it perfect right out the gate. So I think there's definitely a process to where you have to go through to understand that if I understand that I'm iterating and I also trust that it will continue to evolve, then maybe that pressure valve of having to get it perfectly right the first time can start to decrease, and you can actually take a deep breath and you can say, whoa, you know what? I am going to get it wrong. And what does that even mean? And who cares? And if I'm going to get it wrong, then maybe I'm also going to learn something, right? So if you're a mom and you have kids or you have kids around you in your life, there's so many easy, beautiful examples to see that we give kids permission to iterate all the time. They don't go straight from laying in the crib to walking to running to jumping to climbing rocks to riding bicycles. We know that there is a learning path, that there is iterations that they go through. They're going to ride a bicycle, but before that, they're going to ride a tricycle. Before that, they're going to have one of those cool bikes with no pedals. Before that, they might even, just push a lawnmower, one of those little kid lawnmowers. So we have to be able to give ourselves the same permission that we give to the children that we love so much and that we know are developing and growing. Well, guess what? You are also developing and growing, and you get to give yourself the same permission. So, the beauty and permission of iterations is what is going to give you the permission right now to just take action, knowing that that next thing that you create, put out into the world, might not be perfect, and who cares, right? Because you're going to keep creating. The beauty of iterations is in the permission to create and enjoy the mess of it, knowing that you're going to learn and you're going to get better. So what is it that you want to create right now? What is it that's trying to birth itself that you've been blocking because you feel like you need to get it right? I'd love to hear from you. You know where to find me on Facebook, elenalipson.com, or go ahead and leave a comment in the review section of the iTunes podcast, Meditations and Musings with Elena Lipson. I'd love to know what you're working on. But most importantly, I want you to give yourself permission to iterate, because in that is massive beauty. I can't wait to see what you create. I hope to see you next time on Meditations and Musings podcast, and cheers to your iterations. Thank you so much for being here today. I'll see you next time.
Thank you so much for listening and learning about the new divine self-care way of being in your life, business, and the bedroom based on the divine feminine metrics of success: pleasure, play, ease, grace, and a slower pace. If you're ready to bust the myth of overwhelm and tap into an inspired start to each day, I've put together a free video series for you to help you start each day with energy, inspiration, and ignite that inner pilot light which attracts joy, magic, and synchronicity. You can access my 3-step magic morning practice to help you ignite your inner light and attract the abundance that you're craving. Head on over to elenalipson.com/gift. And if you enjoyed this episode, I would so love if you share it with a friend, a sister, a mother, a daughter, and please leave a review. That is how the magic starts to ripple out. Here's wishing you a day full of beauty, magic, and divine self-care. I'll see you next time at the Meditations and Musings podcast.